Tonight, the world finds itself once again on edge thanks to, you guessed it, Donald Trump. The man whose claims are famous for never being very reliable has just declared that the United States is restarting nuclear weapons testing 33 years after the world agreed to stop doing it. By way of justification, Trump says other countries are quietly testing their nuclear weapons, leaving the US at a disadvantage it cannot afford. Trump has listed the usual suspects: Russia, China, North Korea, and then, interestingly, Pakistan. Now that is a big one, because in a single breath, Trump has placed Pakistan in the same bracket as North Korea and China, implying unreliable and irresponsible nuclear proliferators, which is true, but are they really testing? This in a season where he has bent over backwards to befriend and coddle this terror sponsor nation, which happens to be a neighbor of ours. If you're in Islamabad tonight, you'd be slightly confused, even maybe a little worried. But the bigger question is, has Trump once again just simply gone off script, or has he accidentally dropped a classified nugget? Is it even possible to conduct nuclear tests secretly in this era of seismic sensors, satellite surveillance, and global monitoring systems? If so, does India know anything about these so-called phantom Pakistani nuclear tests? Because this time, Trump's words are not just about bravado or campaign swagger. They touch the most dangerous threshold of human power, nuclear power. In a post-truth world, Trump's credibility and reliability have never been his strong suits. But when the words come wrapped in nuclear intent, they stop being a joke. After all, as Trump himself once said very recently, America's nuclear arsenal is powerful enough to destroy the entire world. The question is, does he remember that before he speaks? Okay, let's just show you what India's nuclear neighbors actually look like at this point of time and show you what the size of their arsenals really are. India has a little over 180 nuclear warheads right now as a stockpile. Pakistan is only slightly smaller, but in this game, as you know, the number of warheads hardly matters in a nuclear warfare scenario. They've got about 170 plus warheads at this point of time. In the first test that India conducted was in 1974. Pakistan's first test was in 1998, which was also the year, remember, that India had its second test. The doctrine is no first use, which means that India will not be the first to deploy a nuclear weapon against an adversary country. Pakistan does not have that option. It says we will strike first if we are threatened sufficiently. Nuclear-capable missiles with India include the Agni series, Prithvi Prahar, the K series, which are fired from submarines, and the Nirbhay cruise missiles. Pakistan has the Hut series, Shaheen, and the Abdali series of nuclear-capable missiles. Now let's tell you more about what the nuclear world looks like right now. Okay, first we'll tell you about Pakistan. Pakistan's nuclear arsenal, like we said, around 170 warheads are currently known to be active within Pakistan. This is public domain information, delivery by both aircraft and those land-based missiles that I just listed out for you. It is developing a sea-based and cruise missile-based capabilities for nuclear delivery, but very little information is actually known about where Pakistan has actually reached. Obviously, they're getting a lot of help from the Chinese. The nuclear delivery systems include its F-16 fighters, Mirage fighters, can carry RAD air-launched cruise missiles. Pretty controversial, but that's India's understanding of it. They've also got land-based ballistic missiles like the Abdali, also called the Hut-2 system, which has been generously displayed in many of its military ceremonies. The Hut-3 or the Ghaznavi is another nuclear-capable ballistic missile that Pakistan has in its arsenal. And the Hut-4 or the Shaheen-1 is another long-range missile capable of nuclear delivery. The Hut series goes into the Ghori as well, which India is fully aware of. The Hut-6 is called the Shaheen-2. These are the full family of nuclear-based ballistic missiles that Pakistan currently has. It's developing something called the Babar-3 submarine-launched cruise missile. This is, of course, sea-based. That's a representative picture because it hasn't been tested just yet, but the Babar-3 is under development at this point of time as well. The Hut-7 is ground-launched. It's a ground-launched cruise missile that is capable of delivery from a ship. The Rad is an air-launched cruise missile, also in Pakistan's air arsenal at this point of time. Let's keep moving forward. Okay, now I want to show you, we've shown you enough of the Pakistani missiles. Let's show you what the global map of nuclear weapons and nuclear capabilities actually looks like. Let's remove this graphic. Let's bring in the world map now and show you what a nuclear world looks like. The United States, by far the biggest nuclear power in the world, the only country that has dropped a nuclear weapon in a combat scenario, 5,225 nuclear warheads in the United States. Let's move this as quickly as possible. 225 nuclear warheads in operation with the United Kingdom, 290 with France, far smaller than them, but remember there's NATO as well. Israel is understood to have about 90 nuclear warheads. Pakistan, like I just showed you, has a little over 170. India has 172, close to about 180. Russia has 5,580, almost on par with the United States. China has about 600 warheads. That number could actually be a little higher. North Korea is supposed to have about 50. Very little information is really available as to what those nuclear capabilities really look like, but they do test them from time to time. So you've got Donald Trump say that Russia, China, North Korea, and Pakistan are testing nuclear weapons quietly, and therefore it's a justification for the US continuing to test nuclear weapons 33 years after they last tested a weapon. My questions tonight, number one, has Trump ordered nuclear testing, or has he ordered something else, maybe missile delivery tests or something like that? Because a nuclear test by the United States hasn't happened since 1992, 33 years ago. So is he restarting something that's not happened for over 3 decades? Question number one. Number two, will Trump trigger a fresh nuclear arms race as a result of this announcement and action? Number three, Trump claims Pakistan is testing nuclear weapons. Is this true or false? We can never tell with Trump, so it's a question that legitimately can be asked tonight. Number four, has Trump jeopardized global nuclear safety by speaking off the cuff, or has he really put out specific verified information? And does India need to take any special measures as a result of the US president saying that Pakistan is testing nuclear weapons? Vishnu Shom, our senior managing editor, is with us. Vishnu, what is your understanding of what Trump has actually said, with Pakistan being mentioned in the same breath as China, North Korea, and Russia in testing nuclear weapons?
Donald Trump's announcement or statement in an interview that Pakistan is one of the nations involved in nuclear tests potentially done deep underground has caught the entire world by surprise. It certainly appears to have caught Islamabad by surprise as well, because after that interview and after that particular statement, which has huge global ramifications, there has been no response from Islamabad. There has been nothing from the Pakistani Foreign Ministry at this juncture. This, of course, comes at a time when Pakistan is particularly close, it appears, with the United States. It would be interesting to see if there is a denial from Islamabad of them having done these tests. On the other hand, if there is a confirmation, then that opens up an entire Pandora's box. Remember, Pakistan is not a signatory to the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty or to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, so they can, in a sense, go ahead and do their tests. There is, however, a sense that no nation would willingly want to do this, because there is always the possibility of sanctions, there is always the possibility of international condemnation. India, remember, after our Pokhran 2 tests, when Prime Minister Vajpayee was at the helm, announced a unilateral moratorium, saying that we have done what we wanted to, we've tested different kinds of warheads, we don't feel the need to test any more. Pakistan at that juncture appeared to have said something similar. But if they've actually gone ahead and they've done this, then that opens up, an entire system or an entire set of messages which New Delhi would be loath to ignore.
And joining me live to make sense of what is easily being seen as one of the most controversial remarks by the US president himself, despite the trouble he's had with credibility of many of the claims he's made in the past. Dr. Brahma Chellaney, one of India's most well-regarded strategic affairs experts, and Professor Rajiv Nayan, Professor at the Nelson Mandela Center for Peace and Conflict Resolution. He's also a nuclear security expert. Welcome to the both of you. Thanks very much for being with me. Dr. Chellaney, to you first. What did you make of Trump's remarks on the restarting of nuclear tests by the United States, but more specifically on his mention of Pakistan, sir?
I think what's interesting is that Trump's own energy secretary has contradicted him. Energy secretary has clarified that US testing would not involve nuclear explosions. It'll involve what he called non-critical explosions, also known as subcritical nuclear tests. Subcritical nuclear tests are halted before they trigger physical explosions. The US has been doing subcritical nuclear tests ever since it stopped doing nuclear explosive testing in 1992. So over the last so many years, it's been doing subcritical tests quietly. In fact, a number of countries do subcritical tests, including Russia,
Then
China.
why the need to say that we're going to start doing it again? Can you explain that, sir?
Sorry?
Then why did Trump feel the need to say we're going to start these tests again if they've been doing it all along?
The thing is that he's playing to the public gallery. He's trying to project toughness, but his order to resume testing was little more than an empty boast. It was just a boast. He's trying to play to his MAGA base at home. He's trying to act tough because Russia, as you know, in recent days has conducted tests of delivery vehicles that are not only nuclear capable, but nuclear powered delivery vehicles. This is a new technological leap in the arms race. And that really has rattled Washington. Questions were being asked in Washington as to what the US response would be. And I think in response to those concerns, Trump abruptly announced that he has ordered a resumption of testing. But now, as we know from the Energy Secretary's own public words, that the US testing would not involve nuclear explosions. So it will remain subcritical nuclear testing. So in other words, Trump's words are nothing more than a boast.
Even the Pakistan bit, just to bolster what he's trying to say, and he just slipped that in. Was that an error?
The thing is that Trump has little regard for facts. He disregards even basic facts.
Yeah.
For example, it's well known that Russia last conducted a nuclear test in 1990, China in 1996, North Korea in 2017. And there is no indication, certainly not from US intelligence, because otherwise it would appear in American media, that Russia, China, or North Korea, either of them has conducted a nuclear test. As far as Pakistan is concerned, the last known test for Pakistan was in 1998. There is no evidence whatsoever that Pakistan has done any kind of testing recently or in the years that followed 1998 tests of Pakistan. So I think he just slipped in Pakistan too, because in the interview, 60 Minutes interview, the questionnaire was quite probing. She asked, she interrupted Trump repeatedly, and when he talked about Russia and China, and she asked Trump again that these were tests of delivery vehicles. And then at that point, he said North Korea is testing, Pakistan is testing. He just put in things which are not factually right.
Okay, Professor Nayan, an empty boast perhaps, but does this have any nuclear security implications? There's been quite a degree of nuclear saber rattling, especially in the post-Russia-Ukraine war scenario. What do you make of Trump's comments beyond just being an empty boast? Are there any implications for the world, sir?
No, this nuclear saber rattling could be one issue. But if you go through the United States nuclear establishment's positions, at least ever since President Obama took over, The nuclear establishment has not been happy with what just now Brahma Chellaney described, subcritical tests. They found it slightly unreliable. They may have been conducting it, other countries may have been conducting it. But if you go through the debates, or if you go through the documents produced or generated by the US establishment, you will find that they are clamoring for, they are looking for the real, quote unquote, real test. And you can recollect when Secretary Kelly, or that time he was just the leader of the Democratic Party, and he just promised to ratify CTBT and go for just freezing the nuclear test.
Yeah.
There was strong resistance from the US nuclear establishment. And the United States Institute of Peace had commissioned a study on behalf of the US Congress. And there was a deep division on the issue of future tests, future nuclear tests. And generally, and it was inconclusive. The last chapter of that report was inconclusive. And they did not take any position because the committee was divided and they wanted to conduct a few more tests. And this is one. Again, immediately or around that time only, the Pentagon had also come out with the report, and they viewed, or they noted that US nuclear industry is quite aged.
Yeah.
Nuclear arsenals are aging, infrastructure is cracking, plus their equipments are in bad shape. So they have to strengthen the US nuclear industry.
No, absolutely.
And they say that we had over-focused on aerospace industry. So they said if you have to maintain your nuclear arsenals, you have to, if you have been believing in nuclear deterrence, you have to have a secure, prepared nuclear arsenals.
No, absolutely.
This question has been dogging the US nuclear establishment.
Yeah, you're right. Obsolescence is an issue that has been, that has come up from time to time. Dr. Chellaney, we are talking after all about weapons of mass destruction. Would these comments by Trump have, triggered any alarm or any action within India's security establishment, or would our people have known that these are Trump facts?
There's been concern globally that Trump's order to resume testing could create a return to the tensions of the Cold War and trigger a fresh round of arms racing. And as far as India is concerned, as you know, that in India, when India conducted its nuclear weapon tests in 1998, it became a nuclear weapons state by conducting only a handful of tests. Compare that with the scores and scores of nuclear weapon tests that the US, the Soviet Union, China have conducted. Even France and Britain, the number of tests they've conducted, sometimes in collaboration with the US. The reason why India was satisfied with conducting a handful of nuclear weapon tests is that modern nuclear testing relies primarily on computer modeling plus subcritical nuclear tests. Subcritical nuclear tests are very important because the data from such tests is used to refine advanced computer simulation codes and to assess the effects of aging on the nucleus stockpiles components. So with these two things, computer modeling and subcritical tests, you no longer need physical testing of nuclear devices. And therefore, Trump's remarks created a lot of confusion and anxiety, but his own energy secretary has now clarified
that's right.
that a physical resumption of physical testing is not what the president meant.
We live in a world, it's a theater of the absurd in many ways. I'm out of time, but it's incredible that something as serious as a statement on the resumption of nuclear tests requires a clarification, after the whole thing has gone all around the world, literally like a shockwave. And you've got the security establishments in countries across the world looking into it, debates of this kind taking place, questions being answered and the Energy Secretary issuing that clarification. But that is Trump's world that we live in right now, and we've got to live in it. Thank you very much, Dr. Chellaney and Professor Nayan, for being with me on this complicated issue, and I'm thankful that we've been able to decode how to actually understand it. This is the world of Trump's facts.